Welcome back, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Swardik Mayanja, and on this channel I bring you news, current events, research, and fun topics that matter to nurses everywhere. And today we are tackling cancer, well, at least the cancer survivors. And the number one question all cancer survivors have as soon as they're done their treatment, their radiation, chemotherapy, their surgeries, the number one question, and that is sex. Well, maybe it's not the number one question, but we are talking sex and cancer today.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
Coming out of cancer, you can't do everything that you used to do before, and that includes sex. But don't you worry. Cancer survivor Tamika Felder, she is an intimacy advocate who helps others with their sexuality and getting back into having some good, pleasurable sex. So, who is Tamika Felder? She was diagnosed with cervical cancer at 25 and spent the next year getting chemotherapy, radiation, and a radical hysterectomy. She wound up with bad radiation burns from front to back, as well as vagina atrophy, shrinkage, and dryness, all of which led to some really painful sex. That just sucks. That sucks. That sounds like the worst thing in the planet of the earth. So when asked about the situation, she just said, I knew at 25, this just couldn't be it for me. I knew I wanted to have sex again, and I wanted to have good sex again. She says, it takes time, but it's absolutely possible. And this is true. And this is something that all cancer patients, all cancer survivors need to know. It is possible to have pleasurable sex with yourself, with others, with as many people as you'd like, but the goal is there to go back to having some pleasurable sex. It might not be the same way. You might need some aids to help you do it, not people, but you might need some tools to help you get there. But it's possible, and it's a goal, and it's important, and it's something that we might not talk about as healthcare providers. I know a lot of the time I'm so focused on helping the patient conquer the disease, beat the treatment, get through the treatment, that I forget to talk about what is life going to be like after, right? So for all you nurses, especially you oncology nurses, this is some tips and tricks that I have for you guys. But before we get into those tips and tricks, you little nasty, I see you. Before we get there, I do want to tell you about Tamika Felder's nonprofit. So Tamika Felder founded Survivor, which I absolutely love the way she spelled it. Very good. Good for you, Tamika. That's winning right there. A nonprofit that educates patients and survivors of cervical cancer. She also works with both women and men struggling to regain their sexuality and intimacy post-treatment. This is great. Right? This is amazing. So it's important that us nurses, us healthcare providers, do as much as we can to help our patients get back to living a normal life, a functional life, an enjoyable, and at this time, a pleasurable life, if you know what I mean. But it's important for us nurses to do that. And if we can't, if you don't know how to, if you don't know the details about it, please send them to someone who does, send them to an organization who does, another nonprofit that does, and Tamika Felder's Survivor nonprofit sounds like the place to be. Number one, most important, you need to identify the problem. What do I mean when I say identify the problem? I mean that, well, obviously you know that there's not just one type of cancer, right? There's a million types of cancer. And for each of those different types of cancer, there's a different treatment. There's different radiation, there's different chemotherapy, there's different surgeries, and there's different medications. So the effects on your libido, the effects on your sexuality, the effects on your physical appearance and what's going on in your body are all going to be different. So first of all, understand what the problem is, identify it, and then most importantly, you need to advocate for yourself. Please, please advocate for yourself. Talk to your nurse, talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist, talk to every person that's involved in your healthcare treatment, and let them know what that problem that you have identified, specific to you, and ask them how they can help. Awesome-tacular. Now you have all the information you need. I'm going to leave in the description box down below some links to Dana-Farber, some links to Tamika Felder's nonprofit, Survivor, and you can click on those and you can find all the information you want. And if you don't like to do that, if you don't want it to be online, if you want it to be in person, those links below will guide you to find a doctor, a nurse, a healthcare provider near you that can help you with this process. So now that you have all that information, it's time to get going, right? It's time to do and get back on that horse. if you know what I mean.
We're all sensitive.
So I'm going to give you some tools that you can use while you're getting there to help the path be a little more smoother and definitely a lot more pleasurable. So we're going to start with number one, a dilator. A dilator, the things I love about sex innuendo and all that cool stuff is that it's really simple. Very, very simple. They don't try to trick you. A dilator is just a dilator. It's exactly what it is. It stretches out the vagina. So, like I told you from Tamika Felder's experience when she had cervical cancer, she had the side effect of, when she finished the treatment, she had the side effect of her vagina shrank. Right? And many cancers, this happens because of radiation and because of chemotherapy. It shrinks the vagina, and which sucks, which is horrible. But dilators are here to help stretch it back out. Obviously, you want to be careful. You want to read the directions. Go to a local sex toy store. Go to Amazon if you want to buy it anonymously. There are millions of sites where you can buy this. But I want to stress entirely to read the instructions before you do this, because they come in different sizes and it has very specific instructions. So it might just say something like, if you can fit 2 fingers in with the width side and the length side up, start at this size of a dilator. And if you could do 3, if you could do 4, if you could, and so you want to go by the size because you don't want to hurt yourself. Not 0 to 100, you know, slow and steady, right? Slow and steady. So that's very important. One thing about this that I've seen when I've done my research for this, a lot of people that are against using dilators, not against, or just don't want to try to use dilators, not just yet, is they saying that they're waiting for the one. And once they find the boo-boo that's going to get in there and do the do, then they'll start using the dilators. Then they'll start using all these fun toys on themselves at home. But that might be a little too late. Obviously, it's never too late. Start whenever you want to start, but it's important that you know that it takes time. It's not overnight. It takes some time. So if you find that boo and he wants to do and you can't because your vagina is too tight, and even if you want to and you physically can't because it's too painful, that's going to suck. So you want to start now. You want to start as soon as possible. If you can do it during your treatment, by all means. If you want to start as soon as it's over, by all means. But it's important to start and know that it does take time. Moving forward, lubrication. And this is not, this could basically be a PSA, because it's not just for cancer survivors. This is for everybody, everyone and their mother, right? So lubrication, it's your bestest friend. So with the vagina, naturally it secretes. It gets wet. That's what it does when you are sexually active or you get excited. And if it doesn't do that, sex hurts quite a bit. And not only does it hurt, it causes tears, and causing tears means that you're more susceptible. You are more susceptible to STDs. You're more susceptible to a million different diseases, which you definitely want to stay away from if you just got off the cancer treatment, right? You want to stay far away from that. So lubrication, it's your best friend. Men and women, important stuff here. Important stuff. So you want to use lube, and if you're a vegan like this guy, please, there's coconut oil, which you can use on your face, you can use it on your body. Coconut you can use cooking in the kitchen, but you can also use it on the fun fair. You can use it when you're trying to get down. And last but not least, it's called Zestra, I think. Yeah, it's a Zestra oil. It's also a natural lubricant. But on top of that, it's an arousal oil. So for Zestra, you put it directly on top of the clitoris as well as the labia to get everything lubricated, but it goes directly on top of the clitoris to get that arousal, ting, to get that tingle, to get the excitement going. And this works a lot for people, women in general who have slower libidos. So even if you're not a cancer survivor, if you're one of the nurses and it takes you a while to get into that mood, this might be your go-to. And there's this thing that the Zestra, I saw it online, it's called the Zestra Rush. And they describe it as that tingling feeling you get when you're ready to go. Oh, I'd love to feel that zest for a rush. Hey, give me some, sign me up. And then, so there's millions more. There's millions more things that you can get that can help you go through. And I just want to mention a few more, not in full detail. You can go to the description below and you'll find all the detail you want. But pocket rockets and lipstick vibrators, this is important. They're basically vibrators, and more suction type vibrators. They get the blood flowing to the vulva, which loosens things up, gets things going. And if you are still able to secrete and lubricate, this will help that situation. So it's important you get this. And they say pocket rocket because it's a to-go bag, so you can do this on the go. If you're flying to East Bump, whoever, if you're going across state, if you're going to a new country and you don't want to bring your big bag of dildos, definitely jump on this train. And then for men, I have been talking about all of this vagina talk, but men also have cancer and bad things happen down there for them as well. For men, fleshlights, there's a lot different types. There's things that look like women's mouths. There's things that look like men's mouths. There's things that look like bums and vagina. There's exciting toys out there that you might want to get quick clicks here and there. Don't act like you haven't. But they're very exciting, and you can go check them out whenever you're ready. Definitely get those. Use some lube, and then you can get yourself going with that situation, right? Or you can just get some lube and go the whole mano y mano. You know, use the old hand, the old right hand man, right? So, and that usually gets the body going, gets the libido going, and that's very helpful, especially for you men. It's just easier for us guys, and I'm sorry, ladies, it just is easier. Lastly, what I want to leave on. You want to, when you're doing this, you want to monitor pain. You want to watch out for pain. That's the big thing here. You want to have pleasurable sex. Obviously, unless pain is your thing, but I feel like that's a smaller minority, right? If pain is your thing, just go until you're comfortable with that level of pain. But if you just want to have pleasurable sex, no pain, it's important that you do go slow and steady, because that's how you're going to get to the end. And remember, foreplay. Remind your partner, or you can do yourself. Foreplay doesn't mean you need other people in there, right? You can play with yourself. You can do some foreplay with your partner, because that, as well as the vulva, as well as the vibrators, the lube, and getting things ready down there, foreplay is exciting. And it naturally works if you still have that ability in your body. So living life it's important, right? If you're beating cancer, you're on top of the world, but you're going to want to be able to get back to doing what you've been doing normally before the cancer treatment. It's important to know if your body's not functioning the way it used to, you might not be able to. So use these tools, use these tricks, go to these websites, go check them out, get the information you need so you can have great sex.
Oh, gonna get it.